Hello, I'm Chantel Leutz, and I teach science at Elsinore High School. Today, I'll be walking you through the planner tool in Infinite Campus. Distance learning offers an opportunity for teachers to share their expertise, collect work from our students, and provide feedback when our students are not necessarily in our classrooms. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the state legislature passed SB 98, which spells out how we can offer instruction given the unique circumstances that we find ourselves in. SB 98 also described the accountability for each model, including virtual, a hybrid model, and the differences of what school would need to look like when we ultimately return to school. In the purely virtual model, like we currently find ourselves teaching in the Lake Elsinore Unified School District, or the phase 1 of our school reopening plan, the instructional minutes required by the state are met based on the current schedule in place, as it mirrors the traditional schedules at our schools, both in structure and in instructional minute totals. The time that we meet with our students via Zoom, Teams, or other interactions are called synchronous minutes by the state and are described as virtual live teaching, instruction, learning, and interaction that occur at the same time. Given our current model, based on our typical schedule, the current procedures of taking and verifying attendance in Infinite Campus by our teachers is all that is needed to meet the daily instructional minute requirements set by the state. Moving to phase 2 of our reopening plan requires a change in how we demonstrate that students are meeting these instructional minutes as a hybrid, rotational, or block schedule, and the reductions of the number of students permitted to meet in the classroom necessitate the inclusion of asynchronous minutes described as learning activities that are completed anytime, any place, any path, or at any pace. While asynchronous minutes are recommended for all hybrid models to meet the requirements of appropriate social distancing, contact tracing, and ensure the safety of our students and staff, this model still requires that the minimum instructional minutes be met. The tool we will learn about today, the planner tool, is designed to do just that. The planner tool is designed to work as a lesson planner, similar to the paper lesson plan books that teachers might use to organize their lessons and set days and times for tasks and ungraded activities. In past years, this might be a useful feature for some teachers, but in the hybrid environment we are planning for, it is the way we will be able to track that we are meeting the minimum instructional minutes for each student. As long as we designate in a common electronic format that we are planning asynchronous activities such as independent practice, research, or project work for our students in the planner, the unique schedules that are needed for phase 2 of reopening our schools is permitted. Teachers usually have these activities already planned or shared with their students. The process described below simply formalizes it to meet the requirements of this unique learning model. Teachers that use the Infinite Campus gradebook might know that your assignments created in the gradebook are already housed in a tool called the planner. Assignments kept in the planner for the purposes of these instructional minutes must be specifically coded as such. This is not to say that teachers can't assign assignments to be completed asynchronously.
As you can see, I've navigated to the Control Center in Infinite Campus. For this example, we'll be working on the 5th period of AP Environmental Science and 6th period of AP Environmental Science. To navigate to the planner, on the left-hand navigation, I'll choose Planner. I'm going to navigate to the start date of those particular courses, in this case the week of April 12th. Just a note, this does not need to be completed until we enter the hybrid model. If I'd like to, I can even filter this view so I can eliminate the courses that I'm not working on at this time. So I've limited it to just my 5th and 6th period AP Environmental Science. Referring back to the high school schedule, I can see that I'm going to meet for a virtual check-in my 5th and 6th period on both Monday and Thursday. During this virtual check-in time, I'll be meeting synchronously with my students, but I also need to assign an additional 22 minutes in middle school or 15 minutes in the high school model for each one of those sessions. Present on the screen and attached to this email are asynchronous templates to help you plan those days. All 4 days are included. There are no asynchronous requirements for Wednesday, but depending on the schedules and the sections that you're scheduling for, you'll need to plan for 2 days out of that week. In this example, because I'm meeting 5th and 6th period, I'll only need to plan minutes for Monday and Thursday. We'll go ahead and use the high school template here. I'm just going to copy this in. And I'll start on the first period that just shows up here. To navigate and create these asynchronous minutes in my plans, I'm going to go to the New feature found on the right-hand side and choose Resource. The name doesn't matter, but just so I can keep myself organized, I'm going to name it Week 1 Lesson Plans. Again, noting that this is only a requirement for when we enter the hybrid model. I've pasted the template for high school here, and the only reason we have that posted is so that we can keep in mind the minutes that we need to cover for asynchronous activities. Of course, present on the schedules, that's listed as well. Keep in mind that this is in addition to the virtual meeting checkup that we've got set up. In this example for middle school, I'm going to meet with my students for 15 minutes, but I also need to assign them 22 minutes of asynchronous time in addition to that. In high school, I meet with my students for 15 minutes, and then the state minimum requirements for instructional minutes dictates that I need an additional 15 minutes of asynchronous activities. So, knowing that this is in a high school setting, I only need to plan these asynchronous minutes for Monday and Thursday because that's when I meet those students for virtual check-in. Again, there's no requirement for asynchronous minute tracking on Wednesday. At this point, I simply need to add in instructional activities that I expect my students to complete during that asynchronous block. Since this is a science class, I'll just use 15 minutes of a PhET lab exploration and summary. And then on Thursday, there's an expectation that they'll do a short little lab write-up. The next thing that we'll do is make some decisions on what we want to do with this particular lesson plan. Teachers now have a choice to make that available via the portal to parents and students by just choosing Visible to Class. This is an option that isn't required, but might help preemptively answer the question when parents ask, what are my students supposed to be doing during that asynchronous requirement? By simply clicking that Visible to Class button, it posts it on the portal with the rest of their assignments as well. I'm going to give it a start date and an end date. In this case, it's the week of the 12th through the 16th. And even though those requirements are only for Monday and Thursday, it's designated as such on the actual lesson plan. This isn't a graded assignment. I don't need to do anything with quizzes or submissions. And I'm going to go ahead and save. Now in this instance, this teacher has another period of AP Environmental Science, so you can quickly copy that to similar sections right here at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Edit. At the very bottom, I have the Add Sections button. And then any assigned sections are going to show up here. Here, go ahead and choose any of the sections that are similar to your starting section. Make sure that the dates match up. And that's it.
So I hope that was a helpful tutorial for you. As you can see, the planner tool in Infinite Campus is a really easy way for us to account for the activities that students are completing during asynchronous time. Thank you.